Okay, so another example, calculating frequency and wavelength for non-electromagnetic radiation type waves. So yesterday, the ocean waves were traveling at a velocity of 4 meters per second. Frequency of the is 2 wave cycles per second, which is the same thing as 2 hertz. What's the wavelength of these waves? And use the Dilfsau method. So D for Dilfsau starts us off with a drawing. So we draw our waves. And again, it's very difficult sometimes to label some of these drawings. Other drawings that we'll do later will be easier. So we're just going to go ahead and list our variables. So it gives us the velocity of the wave at 4 meters per second. And it gives us the frequency of 2 hertz. And it's asking us to solve for wavelength. So that is our unknown variable. So if we look at our triangle up here, we would cover up the wavelength, which is this one, and it would give us velocity over frequency, which is actually the given formula that we start with generally anyway. So we're going to go ahead and write the formula because that is the F in Dilfsau, writing out our formula before we plug any variables in. And then now that we have our formula written out, we can start to plug the variables that we know into the formula. So we know velocity is 4 meters per second, and we know that the frequency is 2 hertz. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick that's going to help you a little bit with cross-canceling. So remember, a hertz is a per second, right? Which is a 1 over S. Same thing as a 1 over S. And when we write it this way, it's going to help us to be able to cross-cancel our units better. So basically, this S goes up to the top, right, because it's underneath, and we do the reciprocal, and this S comes down to the bottom, which means we still have an S on top and an S on the bottom, which means we get to cross-cancel our S's, and that's going to leave us with meters. So we do the math. I feel like that's the wrong pen color. All right, so the math is super easy in this case, and I'm sure you can do this in your head, but I want you to make sure you're always showing me the steps because that's important. So other steps in Dilfsau, solve the problem. So that was what we just did, but with units. So we're showing our cross-canceling. So now I have an answer of 2, and then we just figured out that the unit left over is meters. So we stop and ask ourselves, does that make sense that our units came out to meters? Well, we're solving for wavelength, and the wavelength is the distance between wave crests, and that should be calculated in meters, and so the answer should be in meters. And so this is our answer. And yes, we have shown our units all the way through, which is the U in Dilfsau, and we have done all of our steps.